Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. To today's exciting episode, I finally make a handbag. I have been meaning to make a handbag for so long. Actually, I made a mock-up, then I made a tweed handbag.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So I looked at all my handbag pictures I've got a whole Pinterest board on Pinterest of just handbags, designer handbags. And in the end, I just got a bit of A4 paper. So outside of America, the standard office paper is A4 size. So just a standard office bit of white paper. And I just made a handbag within that. And then I added a standard seam allowance, which is 1.5 centimeters, or I think it's 3/8, is it? The standard seam allowance. Anyway, so then I just trace that onto tracing paper, and then I cut out this is just black cotton that I use to line all my dark colored dresses, cotton dresses. And so I've got 2 for the front, 2 for the lining, and then I've also got an extra layer of backing, because basically I'm trying to make a handbag that I can bead. So it needs to have a structural layer because all I'm making it for is to bead. So anyway, that's why I'm making this really, really simple shape. So then I machine sewed the 2 lining pieces together to form the lining, and I sewed the 2 outer pieces together to form the outer handbag. And then I also did around the inside of the handle, I just machine sewed them as well, so I knew where to turn them, where the edge was. And then I clip the curves because it's round, so it wouldn't fold out properly if I didn't do that. And then I folded back the to the seam line, I turned them out and then folded them back, and I used white threads. I ended up having to pick all the thread off, but you can see I've pinned it. And because it's so tiny, if you're making your own handbag, I definitely recommend making a larger size first, and then how to work out what you want, and then scaling it down to a smaller size. Because I have made those messenger satchels that you wear slung over the shoulder. I've made those in the past, and they weren't nearly as difficult as this one. It's so tiny and fiddly, and you can't even get your needle. I was just using a standard size needle, and I couldn't get it in there to stitch the lining to the outer fabric, to the outer purse or handbag. I call them handbags, but I think you call them purses in America. And so I did that, and I didn't like the way the handle looked. So then I just sewed the handle together, and it's so instead of being able to see the lining of the handle, the lining is still there, but I just squeezed the 2 outer sides together and stitch them together. So it's actually double strength, but stronger too, and it works better as a handbag as well. So going forward, I'm going to do that. And there we go. This is the next day. I took some footage of it, and it's so pretty, but it's very plain. And I actually like plain things. My standard handbag is a black classic Chanel bag. So yeah, I do like plain handbags, but I also want to use up my beads. So yeah, that's why I want to make handbags, to use up all my beads. Anyway, so now I'm making a tweed one. So the back is just going to be plain tweed, and the front of the handbag is going to be tweed, but with some beads on there. So I've got 1 layer of tweed, 2 layer of backing fabric, because the beads I'm going to use are a little bit heavy. And then I'm also, this one here is smaller, this pattern, because it doesn't have the 1.5 centimeter seam allowance. It doesn't have any seam allowance on there. So I cut out these 2 black ones, 1 for the front, 1 for the back. And these I'm going to sew to the other one. So I'm going to sew all the layers together, and the black bit is the actual size of the handbag, and two pink layers and the tweed layer are going to be bigger and they're going to have the seam allowance on them. But the black bit is just there because the beads I'm using are a little bit heavy and I'm going to need the 3 structural layers just to hold the beads so that the whole piece ages well and is structurally sound when I actually use it. Okay, and separately I'm going to make silk cut out pieces of silk for the lining, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing for the outer purse. So after I sewed, this is one I did because I just wanted to test that my process is working, and it does. So I'll show you each step on this one. So I've pinned all the layers together, 3 structural layers, 1 tweed layer, and then I stitched them all together around the edge of the black netting layer, and then I cut out the handle and I pinned it back, and now I have to stitch all this down. Like if you're just using cotton or some other fabric, then you could, I guess, do, and you like top stitching, then you could do this bit by machine, but I have to do it by hand. I have to stitch all this down by hand so that it won't be visible. So as you can see, I'm halfway round now, and then my thread ran out. So as I was rethreading it, I was like, I'll take some footage. So you can see you sort of just slowly and methodically make your way round. And working with tweed is a beautiful tweed fabric, but it does have a habit of like it's loosely woven, so it can undo at the slightest provocation. So it is quite hard to stitch down, and it does take a longer time than normal fabrics, but oh my gosh, it's so beautiful once it's done correctly. And I didn't cut out all the handle. I left a little bit of bulk so that the purse will age better. Anyway, so now I've done the 2 bits, and it is time to add some beading. And these are just ones that, I don't know, the tweed is an Oscar de la Renta coating fabric. It's a little bit thick, but I figured if I could if I could make a purse work on this, like it's a mini handbag size, work with this bulky tweed, winter tweed, then I can make any tweed work. So that's why I chose this one. And here we go. They're actually plastic, those ones that look like wood, because if you travel a lot from different countries, then sometimes you can't take wood products in from one country to another. And so, that's why they're plastic versions that look like wood. I do love that wood look, but you just can't use wooden beads. And also, you never know what bugs are in. I don't know. I just think it's safer. If you want something to last for decades, it's safer to stay away from wooden beads, in my opinion. That's just me. So anyway, I did the base ones just to get an idea of where I wanted my beads to be. Then I added a few more pearls and glass beads, a little bit more weight. And I wasn't sure about adding the big ones, but I did the other side on top of it, and I just sort of checked if I could pin them together and to machine sew around the edges, and it was fine. So I ended up sewing on those 3 big beads, the big glass ones, and a couple more of the smaller glass beads and the flower sequence. So now the whole of the bead design is done. I put the back of the handbag, laid it down on top of the front, and I pinned the 2 together, and then I very, very, very carefully machine sewed the 2 together, and then went around again to reinforce it, and then I clipped the curves. And there was too much bulk at the handles just because, I'm using a tweed and it's quite a bulky one. So I cut down that a little bit, the seam allowance at the top, just a little bit. Like, don't cut down all your seam allowance. You need some there. And then I turned the whole thing in the correct way, which was impossible. Oh my gosh, it was really difficult because you have to be careful not to stretch the beading out or anything like that. So here we are. I still haven't stitched down the handle. Like, you have to stitch down all the seam allowance on the inside of the handle and the inside of the base. I haven't done that yet, but I was just very excited that it was almost finished. So then I went and I had lunch because I was a bit over it at this stage. It is such a tiny handbag, like being able to work inside it. Yeah. So I made the silk and then I hand stitched it in, and oh my gosh, the amount of hand stitching involved in this is just ridiculous. So I thought handbags might be easier than making an entire jacket, but I don't know. I don't know. Beading two sides and then hand stitching both sides together and then hand finishing. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot. So anyway, I have finished this one, and the next one I do will be entirely beaded. So it's going to up the ante even more. But yeah, as a first handbag, well, I mean, I've got the mock-up as well, so I guess they're my first two handbags. I'm very happy with them. I bought some of those magnetized handbag clasp things, but these bags, like, it fits my iPhone and my wallet and like some paper, tissues and a pen. That is, and key, like my keys are in my wallet, but yeah, it's quite tiny. And yeah, it doesn't really need a clasp. I think if I put a clasp on there, it would just annoy me. So I'll use it as it is for the moment, but I did buy those clasps. I bought a couple of them. So maybe I'll put one on the black one, maybe. But yeah, oh, and I've just showing you the back is plain. So the beads, when there's no iPhone in there and my wallet, then there is more the beads are heavy, but as soon as you put something in there, it's like it evens out. So using it's fine, but storing it, you have to make sure that you have the heavy side up, otherwise it'll fall flat, sort of thing. But yeah, it was there's a lot of hand sewing in this. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you're going to make your own, I would start with a bigger piece of paper because, and make a bigger mock-up than don't make a mini one to start with. So, yeah, I'm going to go back and do more work on this vintage knit style jacket, tweed that I'm working on. And it's just turning out so pretty, that other jacket. But anyway, yeah, I made a handbag. Isn't that amazing? I have literally put this off for years and years. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more handbags in my near future. The next one's going to be beaded, I think. Oh, so much hand sewing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've been inspired to make your own handbag, because they're both easier and more difficult than I thought it would be. So yeah, definitely have a go. Happy sewing.